They didn't see her as a threat. She was small by their standards. Quiet. Human. The last species they thought could hold its own among the elite cadets of the Trigalactic Academy. The Arksani, the Krull, the Veth, each stronger, taller, bred for war on worlds where gravity crushed bones and air was poison. And then there was her, Cadet Elira Hayes of Earth. Her arrival drew laughter. A fresh intake of warriors lined the courtyard, and every pair of alien eyes turned to the human girl as she stepped off the shuttle. No armor, no weapons, just a duffel slung over one shoulder and the insignia of Earth stitched into her collar. Commander Vrez, a Krull officer with a jaw like a rusted anvil, smirked at the sight. Another one from the soft world, he muttered. I give her 3 days. But she didn't flinch. Day 1 passed in silence. Elira trained alone. Watched. Measured. Every simulation, every tactic lecture, every physical drill. She absorbed it all, adjusting for strength, reach, stamina. She never complained. She didn't talk much. She didn't need to. By the 3rd day, resentment simmered. She thinks she's better than us, hissed Zarn, a Veth cadet with razor-like protrusions and a superiority complex to match. She won't even spar with anyone. Maybe she knows she'll lose, said another. And that was when they decided to test her. During combat drills, each cadet was to engage in mock hand-to-hand sparring. Pairings were randomized, usually. But the academy was flexible with the rules, especially when instructors turned a blind eye for entertainment. Elira was circled by 3. It was supposed to be a teaching moment. Show the human her place. Let her understand this wasn't Earth's version of war. Here, warriors bled on sand and earned respect with pain. Zarn struck first. A slap. Loud. Unmistakable. Gasps echoed. Not because of the violence. Violence was routine, but because of what happened next. Elira didn't move. Her head had snapped to the side, cheek reddened. She blinked once, slowly, then turned her face back to meet Zarn's eyes. Her voice, when it came, was flat. 5 minutes. Zarn sneered. What? That's how long I'll need. She stepped back, flexed her hands, removed the academy-issued jacket, and dropped it on the ground. Her undersuit clung tight to her frame, showing the compact coil of muscle underneath. Still, no one believed her. Not even when the buzzer sounded and the drill began. 5 minutes. That was generous. The first to lunge was Kron, a brutish Arksani with claws like sickles. He swung wide, expecting her to dodge, to retreat like most did. She didn't. She stepped in, ducked under his arm, and drove her elbow into his solar plexus. He folded instantly. 1 breath. Down. 2 more came at her. Zarn and Threx. Coordinated. Fast. But she was faster. She slid beneath Threx's grasp, caught his leg, twisted. A pop. A scream. He hit the ground. Zarn was next, claws out. His arrogance turned to fury. He threw a flurry of strikes. She weaved through them like smoke, every motion efficient, every angle calculated. Then she struck once, an upward palm beneath the chin. His body went limp before he hit the sand. Time. 2 minutes, 11 seconds. The training field had gone silent. Cadets stared, some wide-eyed, others in disbelief. But it wasn't over. From the upper platform, General Raxum watched. He was a legend, a 10-time warfront veteran, feared in 7 systems, draped in medals earned through blood. He had no intention of intervening until now. He stood, leapt down. The thud of his landing cracked the floor. You think you've proven something, Cadet? He growled. Elira didn't answer. He stepped forward, towering over her, arms crossed. Then he ripped one of the medals from his chest, the medal of proven might, and let it fall into the dust. Earn it, he said. Elira's eyes narrowed. She stepped over the fallen cadets, picked up the medal, held it in her palm, feeling its weight. She looked up at him. You want me to return it? Raxum smiled. If you can. Without warning, he attacked. He was fast for his size, each blow backed with the strength of someone who'd fought real wars. But Elira wasn't surprised. She'd studied him. She knew his record, his style, even the injury he hid in his right knee. She dodged, countered, evaded. And when the moment came, precisely 4 minutes and 58 seconds in, she disarmed him. Not of a weapon, but of his stance, his balance, his pride. She flipped him, slammed him into the sand, stood over him, and dropped the medal on his chest. I think I'll keep it. He stared up at her, stunned. Then, Slowly, he laughed. The cadets didn't laugh. They just watched, knowing something had shifted. In 5 minutes, the human cadet had rewritten the rules of this academy. And she wasn't done yet. Not even close. The academy didn't know how to handle what happened. Officially, General Wraxham was undefeated in over 60 duels. Unofficially, the High Command didn't allow that streak to be interrupted by a first-year cadet, especially a human girl. But the fight had been witnessed by dozens. Recorded, shared, whispered. By morning, everyone in the academy knew her name. Elira Hayes. Some wanted to worship her. Others wanted to break her. 2 factions quietly formed among the cadets. One admired her discipline, her silence, her ruthless efficiency. The other saw her as a threat to tradition, a fluke that needed to be erased. General Wraxham, to his credit, filed no complaint. He returned to his station and resumed daily drills like nothing had happened, but his eyes tracked Elira whenever she passed. Watching, waiting. She never celebrated, never even brought it up. In the mess hall, she sat alone. In the barracks, she trained long past lights out. In the simulators, she pushed boundaries most officers struggled to meet. And always, she kept her expression unreadable, until the challenge board changed. Every cycle, cadets could post combat challenges to one another. Most used it to climb the internal ranks. Ceremonial bouts meant to prove mettle. Victors earned respect. Losers walked away bruised but proud. This time, the board had one name repeated 10 times. Elira Hayes. Challenged by Vrax, Dalaran, Sketh, Amr, Rith, and 5 others. All upper cadets. All high-ranking. All not human. They thought she'd fold under pressure. She accepted every challenge. The fights were scheduled across 5 days. No breaks. No substitutions. The first match was brutal. Vrax was twice her size, with 4 arms and reinforced skin. He opened with a shoulder charge, confident he'd flatten her in seconds. She slid beneath him, locked his ankle, and wrenched it sideways until it cracked. Down. The second fight, Dalaran came prepared, used ranged taser strikes, environmental manipulation, terrain tricks. She still disarmed him, beat him unconscious, and walked away without a scratch. By the 4th match, the academy had stopped pretending this was normal. Crowds gathered. Instructors came early to claim front-row positions. Even officers from the orbiting cruiser took shuttles down to watch. In every match, Elira was faster, smarter, and she was getting angrier. No one had seen it directly, but those watching closely began to notice. Her jaw tightened. Her strikes got harder. She started ending fights faster than before. She wasn't trying to win anymore. She was making statements. She was counting down. By the 9th match, rumors swirled that the commandant herself had ordered the challenges to humble her. The final challenger, Rith, was the son of a senator from the Glaven Empire. The fight was broadcast across 4 sectors. Officially, it was a training match. Unofficially, it was a political display. Elira didn't care. She dismantled Rith in 17 seconds. No flourish. No wasted movement. She knocked him out with a precision strike to the neck and walked off the platform before the medics even got to him. That night, General Wraxham found her on the rooftop of the West Tower. "Why are you still here?" he asked. She didn't turn. "Because I haven't finished." Wraxham folded his arms. "You have nothing left to prove." "Not to them. I'm not proving anything to them." "Then who?" She finally looked at him. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned with something that hadn't been there before. "My sister was executed on a broadcast 2 years ago. Right here. On this world. Accused of being a spy. She was 17. Wraxham's silence was heavy. She begged. They laughed. "I watched from Earth." He closed his eyes briefly. "The Glaven Tribunal. Her name was Mara Hayes. You saw it too." He nodded once. "I enlisted the next day," Elira said. "You came for revenge." "No. I came to remind them what a mistake that was." "You did more than remind them. You scared them." "Good." She walked past him. "I'm done with cadets," she said. "Then what's next?" Her reply was quiet, but clear. "I want command trials." Wraxham blinked. "That's not protocol." Was slapping a cadet protocol? He stared at her. Then slowly he smiled. "I'll put in the request." Elira didn't smile back. She had work to do. The command trial chamber hadn't been used in a decade. It was reserved for only the most promising senior cadets, or, more often, nobles from influential systems who demanded fast-tracking into command roles. The process was grueling, mentally and physically, and no one from Earth had ever been invited to it. Until now, the room was filled with brass and silence. High Command watched from above, their faces unreadable behind glass walls. Raxum stood beside the panel as an unofficial sponsor, arms crossed, his presence alone a political message. Someone from the old guard believed in her. Elira stepped into the center of the room without ceremony. A synthetic voice echoed, "Cadet Elira Hayes, you have requested command trials. Per Protocol 713, you will be tested across 5 modules: tactical theory, combat leadership, simulation coordination, crisis adaptation, and real-time hostile scenario." "I acknowledge," Elira said calmly. "Begin." The tactical theory test hit first. A dozen planetary war scenarios were thrown at her in rapid succession. Enemy fleets, logistics problems, civilian evacuations, orbital strikes, eco-collapse events. Each situation was time-locked, 45 seconds per solution. No room for error. She didn't blink. Each move she made had a brutal logic. She didn't chase victory for pride. She cut losses to save lives, sacrificed ground to win wars. Her tactics showed someone who had studied failure and bent it to her will. Module 2, Combat Leadership. She was dropped into a live fire squad simulation. 5 alien cadets followed her, none friendly. The sim loaded a jungle war zone with a heat storm approaching. Limited ammo. 1 extraction point. The team barely spoke. Elira barked one order: follow or die. She took the lead, used terrain to trap the enemy, turned one alien's plasma cannon against their own sentries, and forced a fractured squad into a cohesive unit by sheer force of will. They made it out. Even the most skeptical alien in her squad nodded with respect when the trial ended. Next came simulation coordination. She had to orchestrate 3 simultaneous battles across multiple systems with limited comms and shifting parameters. While most candidates floundered, trying to juggle inputs, Elira rerouted resources, assigned AI assists, and made 2 critical sacrifices that flipped the balance of power in her favor. Her score lit up gold. Unprecedented. Then came crisis adaptation. This was personal. She was placed in a scenario where Earth was attacked by an unknown species. The simulation didn't allow her to save everyone. Civilians screamed. Allies died. The president of Earth was calling for evacuation. The fleet was scattered. She paused only once. Not to panic, but to focus. Then she sent Earth's signal through a quantum relay, redirected human reinforcements to the far side of the moon, faked a planetary shield failure, and lured the enemy into a trap of their own making. She lost a city, but saved the world. Finally, the real-time hostile scenario. No pre-briefing. No warning. She was thrown into an actual warship, already mid-battle. Red lights. Explosions. Screaming in the halls. The captain was dead. Officers scattered. The bridge was half offline. Elira sprinted to take command, grabbed the deck officer by the collar and shouted, "Report. Incoming torpedo salvo. Shields at 12%. Reactor unstable." She moved fast, calculated faster, shut down non-essentials, diverted power to lateral thrusters, used the torpedo blast to slingshot the vessel into an asteroid field. While enemies hesitated, she locked onto their command ship and launched a single railgun shot through 2 asteroids for a kill shot. Silence. Then the screen went black. A single word appeared. Passed. The panel didn't cheer, didn't smile, but they stood. That alone was everything. Elira turned, expecting to be dismissed. But the commandant of the academy stepped forward. The same woman who had approved the series of fights meant to humble her. "You're not done," she said coldly. Elira said nothing. "There's one more test." "I completed all 5, Elira replied. "We added a 6th. Raxum's eyes narrowed. "That's not regulation." "It is now," the commandant snapped. "We want to know what she does when confronted with the real consequence of command." A door opened. 2 cadets were dragged in, both bloodied. One human, one Glaven. Friends. Enemies. Both barely conscious. "This scenario is simple," the commandant said. "Only one walks out. You choose. The other is removed from the program." Elira's jaw clenched. "You wanted command. This is what command looks like." The room held its breath. Elira stepped forward, looked at both cadets, and then at the officers watching. Then she walked toward the human cadet. Some relaxed. Others nodded in grim approval. Then she turned. and punched the Glaven soldier's guard square in the throat. Chaos erupted. Elira grabbed both cadets, shoved a stim into the Glaven's arm, and dragged them to the door. The guards tried to stop her. 3 went down in 8 seconds. The commandant shouted, "What are you doing?" Elira shouted back, "I'm taking my team. You want someone who makes impossible choices? I choose not to play your rigged game. You'll be expelled." "No, I'll be in command. Because unlike you, I didn't betray the uniform." The room exploded with voices. Raxum just smiled. History had just changed again. Elira didn't sleep that night. Not because she was afraid of expulsion. No, that threat had passed. The moment she'd walked out of the command trial chamber carrying 2 cadets under her arms, she'd become something else in the eyes of the academy. Not just a cadet. Not even a symbol. She was a problem. And the galaxy had no idea how dangerous a problem like her could become. Her room was quiet, but her thoughts weren't. The system's officials hadn't dared detain her. Raxum had intervened before it escalated further, his voice cutting through the growing political storm like a scalpel. "She passed every trial, even the one you invented on the spot. You don't have to like her. But by your laws, she is a commanding officer now." She didn't even get time to rest. Her official transfer was issued within hours. Effective immediately, she was assigned to an outpost most considered cursed, Fort Helion. Located on the edge of Glaxer territory, it was technically under Academy jurisdiction, but just barely. Officers were sent there to be forgotten or die trying not to be. No one wanted it. It hadn't seen a supply ship in months. It was the perfect place to bury her without admitting they were afraid. Elira didn't protest. She packed in silence, snapped a salute to no one, and boarded the transport alone. She arrived at Fort Helion 2 days later. The gates were rusting. The watchtowers unmanned. The personnel records showed 25 assigned staff, but only 9 still walked the halls. Most of the others had transferred, deserted, or mysteriously disappeared. The soldiers remaining were tired, undertrained, and worse, under human command for the first time. She walked through the courtyard with her duffel bag slung over her shoulder, her uniform spotless despite the dust storm howling through the compound. A tall, multi-armed Krovax leaned against a broken antenna, chewing on dried ration sticks. "You're the new officer?" She stopped. "Commander Elira Hayes. Assigned by Central Command 3 days ago." He looked her up and down. "You look like you came to die here. Then you're looking at the wrong person." Another voice barked from inside the barracks. "She's just another political case. Like the others. She'll last a week." She didn't flinch. Instead, she walked to the central console, took out her access key, and began rebooting the entire base's systems. Lights flared. Doors sealed. Emergency comms reactivated. The garrison blinked. "You all report to me now," she said calmly. "No exceptions." "What if we don't?" Elira looked up. "Then I will break you. One by one. Or you can stand, and we rise together. Choose." There was a long pause. Then the Krovax grunted and tossed his ration pack into the dirt. "Well, guess we got a commander again." Elira didn't smile. She just got to work. By week's end, Fort Helion had training drills twice daily, new defensive parameters, a scavenged comm array from a crashed Glaven patrol ship, and for the first time in 2 years, operational drone surveillance over the region. Word spread fast. Not from official channels, of course, but from whispers, from returning patrols, from intercepted comms. The forgotten human cadet wasn't dead. She was building something. Then, something happened that no one expected. A Glaven raiding vessel entered Helion airspace. Normally, it wouldn't be an issue. Raids were common out here, and Fort Helion usually played dead or surrendered goods. Not this time. Elira activated the automated artillery stations she'd rebuilt with 2 engineers. They weren't supposed to work. The AI was half-corrupted, the sensors cracked. But when the raider got within range, 4 plasma bolts tore through its hull. It didn't crash. It exploded, in full view of 2 orbiting Glaven scouts. They retreated immediately. Within hours, every nearby outpost picked up the signal. Fort Helion is back online. The High Command didn't like that. They'd sent her there to disappear, not to raise a flag. So they sent someone to remind her of her place. A decorated alien general. Tyrok. The same one whose metal had once symbolized dominance over Earth during the early treaties. The same one she'd taken during that ridiculous 5-minute duel. He arrived without ceremony, flanked by 24 soldiers, and a private transport. She met him in the courtyard. No salute. You've made noise, he said. You left the station to rot. I cleaned up. You embarrassed the council. Took what wasn't yours. I earned it. Tyrok stepped forward. He wasn't smiling. I came here to take it back. Elira didn't move. You want your medal? Yes. She reached into her coat, pulled it out, tossed it in the dirt. You can have it. He blinked. If it matters more to you than honor, than protection, than duty, take it. Shine it. Hang it on your wall. But if you think that changes what happened here, you're more broken than this place used to be. He didn't pick it up. He turned and left. And as his ship rose into the dusty sky, half of his escort stayed behind. They transferred to Fort Helion under her command that very hour. And thus, the legend grew louder. Not because of what Elira had taken, but because of what she refused to surrender. Here is part 5 of your HFY story based on the title They Slapped the Human Cadet. She took their general's medal in 5 minutes. Elira stood on the balcony of the newly reinforced command tower, eyes scanning the desert beyond Fort Helion's perimeter. The wind howled. Dust devils spun across the barren wastes. But beneath the chaos, there was order. Her order. What was once a forgotten ruin had become a symbol. Her symbol. The soldiers beneath her weren't perfect. They weren't elite. But they followed her without question, trained harder than ever, and most importantly, they believed. They believed in her. Because she hadn't demanded their respect. She had earned it. But peace wouldn't last. Not after what she'd done. Taking the general's medal on live broadcast had already made waves. Turning Fort Helion from a graveyard into a functioning stronghold had transformed those ripples into shock waves. And now? Now came the tsunami. An encrypted message arrived from Earth's Strategic Command, relayed through 3 proxy stations. She read it once, then again. Then she called for her officers. We're going to be attacked, she said simply. By who? Asked the Krovax. Elira looked up, eyes calm. By everyone who thinks I'm a threat. Within 24 hours, Helion sensors picked up multiple inbound ships. Not pirates. Not raiders. No insignias, no official registry codes. But everyone knew. This was an unofficial strike. An erasure mission. They didn't want her court-martialed or recalled. They wanted her silenced. Elira didn't panic. She activated Helion's defenses. She handed out updated loadouts. Then she gave the simplest order of her career. Hold. When the enemy arrived, they didn't talk. No demands. No negotiations. Just fire. The first wave rained plasma down on the outpost, expecting shields to fail. They didn't. She'd rerouted auxiliary power to reinforce the barriers 4 days ago. The second wave sent in ground troops. They made it 50 meters before her drone squadrons lit the sands with targeted fire. But it was the third wave that mattered. A dreadnought-class destroyer. Too big for the outpost to fight alone. Too dangerous to ignore. Her officers looked to her. What now? Elira keyed her calm. And for the first time in over a decade, Earth's black flag rose over Helion's tower. The symbol of unyielding retaliation. She didn't call for backup. She announced war. The dreadnought responded by deploying 2 Hunter-class walkers. Elira whispered a name. Dahlia. Now. From the hills, a single stealth fighter roared to life. Not Earth-built. No one knew where she'd found it. But it moved like death itself. Dahlia's strike ran through both walkers like they were paper. Then she flew straight into the dreadnought's underbelly, dropped 3 antimatter charges, and vanished back into the clouds. For minutes later, the dreadnought imploded. No one said a word. Not until hours later, when a wideband transmission came in. From the Galactic Council itself. Elira Hayes. Report to Tribunal Sector for unauthorized military action. She stepped in front of the transmission console, turned on the camera, and said, I will not. Silence. Then another voice chimed in. Human. High-ranking. By order of Earth Command, Fort Helion is now recognized as an independent sector command post. Commander Elira Hayes retains full control. More silence. Then the feed cut. She turned to her officers. Status report? Minor injuries. No casualties. Supplies holding. She nodded. Then let's get back to work. Word of the battle spread across the galaxy. They slapped a human cadet once. Thought it would break her. But in 5 minutes, she stole their pride. In 5 weeks, she claimed a forgotten base. And in 5 months, she became a symbol of rebellion that even the council couldn't erase. And somewhere, In the dark edges of space, frightened leaders began whispering the same words. She's not just a cadet anymore. She's the first of something new. And they were right. Because legends don't wear medals. They make their own.